Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. Halloween night looms over the city like a dark omen, and the crisp autumn air bites at my exposed skin as I adjust the collar of my vampire costume. The mirror reflects back a pale, gaunt face with dark eyes, perfect for the role I've chosen. The velvet cloak I wear flows dramatically over my shoulders, adding to the eerie aura I'm aiming for tonight. I'm determined to make this Halloween one to remember. Are you ready yet? I call out to my wife, Vanessa, as I fidget with the fake fangs I've glued in place. They make my speech slightly slurred, but that only adds to the authenticity. In a minute. Vanessa's voice echoes from the bathroom, light and carefree. I feel a pang of unease in my chest. It's that same feeling I've been trying to ignore for weeks now. Vanessa has been distant lately, more distracted. We've been married for 5 years, but something has shifted in the past few months. I tell myself it's just paranoia, that I'm reading too much into things. Tonight is about fun, about letting loose and enjoying ourselves. The Halloween party at the old mansion downtown has been the talk of the town for weeks, and we've been looking forward to it. Finally, Vanessa emerges from the bathroom, and I'm momentarily struck speechless. She's transformed into an evil queen, her jet black gown clinging to her figure, accentuating every curve. Her long, dark hair cascades down her back, a jeweled crown perched atop her head. Her makeup is flawless, with blood-red lips and smoky eyes that give her an otherworldly allure. But it's her smile that unnerves me, it's sly, almost wicked. Well? She asks, spinning slowly to show off her costume. What do you think? You look incredible, I manage to say, forcing a smile. Very convincing. She laughs, a sound that's become unfamiliar to me, too sharp, too cold. You don't look so bad yourself, Dracula. Is she here yet? I ask, changing the subject. Vanessa's friend, Claire, was supposed to join us tonight. As if on cue, the doorbell rings. Vanessa's eyes light up, and she rushes to the door. A moment later, Claire steps inside, draped in a flowing white sheet with holes cut out for her eyes and mouth. It's a classic ghost costume, but she's made it her own, the edges of the sheet tattered and smeared with red to give it a gory twist. Boo! Claire exclaims, lifting the sheet slightly to reveal her face, which is pale with a faint smirk. Scary. I reply, giving her a once-over. Ready to go? Absolutely, Claire says, her eyes flicking over to Vanessa. They share a look, one that I can't quite decipher. It's quick, but it sends a chill down my spine. We arrive at the mansion just as the party is in full swing. The place is a sprawling, Gothic structure with high arched windows and an iron gate that creaks ominously as we push through. The lawn is littered with jack-o'-lanterns and fake tombstones, adding to the atmosphere. Music and laughter spill out from the open doors, mingling with the eerie sounds of a pre-recorded haunted house soundtrack. The interior of the mansion is a maze of rooms, each decorated with different themes: graveyards, haunted forests, mad scientist labs. The dim lighting and fog machines create an otherworldly ambience, and everyone is lost in their own worlds of make-believe. The three of us stick together at first, moving from room to room, chatting with other guests, and sipping on our drinks. But as the night wears on, the crowd thickens, and we gradually drift apart. I find myself in a darkened hallway, the music muffled by the thick walls. I glance around, realizing I've lost sight of both Vanessa and Claire. I wander into a nearby room, the door slightly ajar. It's dark, with only the flicker of candles casting long shadows across the walls. My eyes adjust, and I realize I've stumbled upon what seems to be a more private setting: plush couches and low tables laden with half-empty glasses. And then I see them. A figure in a ghost costume, half draped in the white sheet, her pale skin glowing in the candlelight, is entangled with another person, their faces close, bodies pressed together in a way that's far from innocent. The other figure is dressed as a goblin, his green skin and pointed ears almost comical if not for the intimacy of the scene. My breath catches in my throat, and I take a step back, the floorboards creaking under my weight. The ghost turns slightly, and my heart skips a beat. It's Claire. It has to be. Her ghostly figure, the way she's moving, it's all too familiar. I back away, my mind racing. Claire. Here. With him. It's not the shock of what I've seen that hits me hardest, but the confirmation of something deeper, something I've been trying to deny for so long. I leave the room quietly, my heart pounding. I don't know what to do. Confront her. Confront Vanessa. My mind is a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. I move through the crowd, my eyes scanning for Vanessa. And then I see her, only it's not her. It's Claire, wearing Vanessa's evil queen costume, the crown slightly askew on her head. She's laughing, her voice loud and carefree, surrounded by a group of people who don't seem to notice the switch. Suddenly, everything clicks into place. They've switched costumes. But why? And if Claire is out here, then who was in that room? A cold dread settles over me as I realize the answer. It wasn't Claire in that room with the goblin. It was Vanessa. My heart races as I feel the sting of betrayal, sharper than any vampire's fangs. I feel nauseous, the room spinning around me. Vanessa. My wife. In there, with another man. I clench my fists, struggling to keep my emotions in check. My mind races with thoughts of revenge, of exposing her, of making her pay for what she's done to me. But I can't do anything rash, not yet. Not here. I need to plan. I need to think. For now, I force myself to breathe, to push down the boiling rage. I find a corner where I can gather my thoughts, where I can watch Vanessa, my unfaithful wife, pretend to be the perfect queen, her mask slipping only when she thinks no one is watching. But I'm watching now. And she has no idea what's coming next. The drive home is a blur of taillights and dark thoughts. Vanessa sits in the passenger seat, her crown slightly tilted, her evil queen persona still intact. Claire follows behind us in her own car, the ghost sheet now discarded, her face serious and contemplative. The party had ended with awkward goodbyes and forced smiles. Vanessa's eyes sparkled with mischief, but now, as we pull into our driveway, I sense a shift. She's quieter, almost wary. She must have seen the change in my demeanor, sensed the storm brewing beneath my calm exterior. We step inside, and I close the door behind us, the sound echoing through the silent house. Vanessa heads straight for the kitchen, probably looking for a glass of water or something stronger. I follow her, my steps deliberate, my mind racing with what I've discovered. I'm going to bed, Vanessa announces, her voice strained. She's trying to avoid any conversation, but I'm not letting this go. Wait, I say, my voice firmer than I intend. We need to talk. She pauses, her back to me, her shoulders tense. About what? I step closer, my eyes boring into the back of her head. About tonight. About what you were doing at the party. Vanessa turns slowly, her eyes wide, a mix of confusion and fear. What are you talking about? I saw you, I say, my voice low, barely more than a whisper. In that room. With him. Her face pales, and for a moment, I think she might deny it. But then her expression hardens. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? I take another step forward, my anger bubbling to the surface. I saw you, Vanessa. You and that guy. In the room. You switched costumes with Claire, didn't you? She opens her mouth to speak, but the sound of the doorbell interrupts her. We both turn towards the door, the tension in the air thickening. Vanessa's eyes dart to me, panic flickering in their depths. Who could that be at this hour, she mutters, more to herself than to me. I stride to the door and yank it open, half expecting Claire, but it's not her. Instead, it's Michael, our neighbor and one of Vanessa's closest friends. He's dressed in casual clothes, a stark contrast to the elaborate costumes we wore earlier. "Hey, sorry for the late visit," Michael says, his voice friendly but laced with concern. "I saw your lights on and thought I'd check in. Everything okay?" Before I can respond, Vanessa rushes past me, her face lighting up with forced enthusiasm. "Michael! What a surprise! Come in, come in." Michael steps inside, his eyes flicking between Vanessa and me. He's clearly picking up on the tension, but he doesn't comment on it. Instead, he follows Vanessa into the living room, and I trail behind, my mind still reeling from the night's revelations. "So, how was the party?" Michael asks, trying to lighten the mood. Vanessa launches into a rehearsed description of the party, her voice animated and cheerful. I watch her, my anger simmering just below the surface. She's good at this, pretending everything is fine, playing the perfect hostess. But I know the truth now, and it's tearing me apart. As Vanessa talks, the doorbell rings again. This time, it's Claire. She steps inside, her eyes meeting mine for a brief moment before she looks away. She's not wearing her ghost costume anymore, but she still looks ethereal, almost haunting. "Sorry, I forgot my phone here," Claire says, her voice shaky. "I think I left it in the kitchen." "Of course," Vanessa says, her smile tight. "I'll help you look for it." They disappear into the kitchen, leaving Michael and me alone in the living room. He turns to me, his brow furrowed. "What's going on, man? You seem off." I take a deep breath, struggling to find the right words. "It's complicated." Michael nods, his expression understanding. "You know you can talk to me, right? Whatever it is, we'll figure it out." I want to tell him everything, to unload the burden of my discovery, but I can't. Not yet. Instead, I force a smile and nod. "Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it." Before he can respond, Vanessa and Claire return, the phone in Claire's hand. "Found it," Claire says, her smile weak. "Thanks, Vanessa." Vanessa nods, but her eyes are on me, watching my every move. Claire heads for the door, but before she leaves, she turns to me. "I'll see you around, okay?" I nod, my mind a jumble of emotions. "Yeah, see you." Once Claire and Michael are gone, the house feels even more suffocating. Vanessa turns to me, her eyes pleading. "Can we talk about this tomorrow? I'm tired, and I don't want to fight." I want to say no, to force the conversation, but I'm exhausted too. "Fine. Tomorrow." She heads upstairs, and I follow, each step feeling like a weight on my soul. As we get ready for bed, the silence between us is deafening. I lie awake long after Vanessa falls asleep, my mind replaying the events of the night over and over. Tomorrow, I tell myself. Tomorrow, I'll confront her. I'll get the answers I need. But for now, all I can do is wait, the shadows of deception closing in around me. Morning light filters through the curtains, casting long shadows across the bedroom. I wake up to the sound of Vanessa moving around, already dressed and ready for the day. The sight of her in the morning light, seemingly normal and composed, sends a surge of conflicting emotions through me: anger, confusion, betrayal. "Good morning," she says, her voice carefully neutral as she brushes her hair in front of the mirror. Her reflection catches my eye, and for a moment, I wonder how long she's been playing this role, hiding behind that serene mask. "Morning," I reply, my voice heavy with the weight of what we both know is coming. The silence stretches between us, thick with unspoken words. I sit up, running a hand through my hair, trying to gather my thoughts. Today is the day we're supposed to talk, really talk, and I'm not sure how to start. "I made coffee," Vanessa says, her tone almost too casual as she heads towards the door. "Come down when you're ready." As she leaves the room, I take a moment to steady myself. I've rehearsed this conversation in my mind 1,000 times since last night, but now that the moment is here, I feel unprepared. I find Vanessa in the kitchen, her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee, staring out the window. The scent of freshly brewed coffee fills the air, but it does nothing to calm my nerves. "Vanessa," I start, my voice firmer than I expected. "We need to talk." She turns to face me, her expression guarded. "I know. I don't want to fight." "I don't want to fight either," I say, stepping closer. "But I need answers." She sighs, setting her mug down on the counter. "What do you want to know?" "Last night," I begin, struggling to keep my voice steady. "I saw you. In that room. With that guy." Her eyes widen, and for a moment, she looks genuinely surprised. You saw that?" "Yes, Vanessa," I say, my anger seeping into my words. "I saw everything. You switched costumes with Claire so you could, what? Cheat on me without me noticing?" "It's not what you think," she says quickly, her eyes pleading. "It was a stupid, impulsive mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen." I scoff, crossing my arms over my chest. "A mistake? That's what you're calling it?" She runs a hand through her hair, frustration etching lines across her face. "I don't know what else to call it. It wasn't planned, I swear. It just happened. So you thought you could just switch costumes and I wouldn't find out?" I ask, my voice rising. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice?" "I didn't think," she admits, her voice trembling. "I wasn't thinking at all. I was. I don't know, caught up in the moment. I never meant to hurt you." "Well, you did," I snap, the words cutting through the air like a knife. "You betrayed me, Vanessa. And now what? You just expect me to forgive you?" She looks down, tears welling up in her eyes. "I don't expect anything. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. I don't want to lose you." The sincerity in her voice gives me pause, but the anger and hurt inside me are too strong to be soothed by her tears. "I don't know if I can trust you again." She wipes her eyes, her hands trembling. "I understand. And if you need time, or if you want to leave, I won't stop you." The vulnerability in her words catches me off guard. Vanessa has always been strong, determined, in control. Seeing her like this, broken and pleading, stirs something inside me, something I'm not sure I want to feel. Before I can respond, there's a knock at the door. We both freeze, the sudden intrusion breaking the tension. Vanessa looks at me, confusion and fear flickering in her eyes. "Are you expecting someone?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. I shake my head, just as puzzled as she is. "No." I move towards the door, the unease growing with each step. When I open it, I'm greeted by the last person I expected to see, Michael. He stands on the doorstep, his expression serious, almost grim. "Michael," I say, taken aback. "What are you doing here?" He glances past me, his eyes settling on Vanessa, who's still in the kitchen, her face pale. "I need to talk to you. Both of you. Now." Vanessa asks, her voice shaky. "Now," he confirms, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. We move into the living room, the air thick with tension. Michael sits down, leaning forward, his hands clasped together. He looks at me, then at Vanessa, before taking a deep breath. "I know what's going on," he says, his voice steady. "And I'm here to help." Vanessa stiffens, her eyes darting between us. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I know about last night," Michael says, his gaze locking onto Vanessa's. "I know what you did." My heart skips a beat, and I feel the room closing in around me. "How do you know?" "I saw you," Michael says simply, his eyes still on Vanessa. "I saw you switch costumes with Claire." I saw you go into that room. Vanessa's face drains of color, and she looks like she might collapse. Michael, He holds up a hand, cutting her off. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here because you're my friends, and I don't want to see this ruin everything. I stare at him, disbelief and confusion warring within me. Why didn't you say anything before? Because I wasn't sure what to do, Michael admits, his voice softening. I didn't want to make things worse. But I couldn't just stay silent, not when it's tearing you two apart. Vanessa looks at him, her eyes filling with tears again. I'm so sorry, Michael. I never meant for any of this to happen. I know, he says gently. But now we have to deal with it. The three of us sit in silence for a long moment, the weight of the situation pressing down on us. Finally, I speak, my voice barely above a whisper. What do we do now? Michael leans back, sighing heavily. You need to figure out if this is something you can move past. If you can rebuild the trust that's been broken. I glance at Vanessa, who's staring down at her hands, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. My heart aches, torn between the love I still feel for her and the pain she's caused. I don't know if I can, I admit, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. Vanessa looks up at me, her eyes red and puffy. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right, she says, her voice raw with emotion. I'll go to counseling, I'll give you space, I'll do anything. Michael nods, his expression thoughtful. Counseling might be a good start. But you also need to be honest with each other. Completely honest. Vanessa and I exchange a look, and I can see the fear and hope in her eyes. I'll try, I say finally. But I can't make any promises. That's all I can ask, she whispers. Michael stands, giving us both a small, encouraging smile. Take it one step at a time. And if you need anything, I'm here. As he leaves, the door clicking shut behind him, the silence returns. Vanessa and I sit in the living room, the weight of our conversation hanging heavy in the air. For the first time since last night, I feel a glimmer of something, maybe it's hope, maybe it's just a flicker of resolve. But whatever it is, it's enough to make me stand up and move towards Vanessa. We'll figure this out, I say, my voice firm. She looks up at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of relief and doubt. Together? I nod, though uncertainty still lingers in the back of my mind. Together. And as we sit there, holding on to each other, I know that this is only the beginning of our journey. The road ahead is uncertain, and the shadows of deception still loom over us. But for now, we have a glimmer of light, and that's enough to start moving forward. The days after that fateful morning pass in a blur of tension and half-hearted attempts at reconciliation. Vanessa and I go through the motions, attending counseling sessions and engaging in awkward conversations about trust and honesty. But beneath the surface, the wound festers, and I can't shake the feeling that something is still not right. Vanessa is overly accommodating, eager to please, but it feels forced, like she's acting a part she doesn't truly believe in. I watch her closely, every smile, every touch, every word, searching for signs of sincerity. But the doubt clings to me like a second skin, and I can't tell if it's my paranoia or if there's something more to uncover. One night, I'm sitting alone in the living room, flipping through old photos on my phone, pictures of us during happier times. The memories feel like they belong to someone else, someone naive and untouched by betrayal. The door creaks open, and Vanessa steps in, her eyes red and tired. I'm going to bed, she says softly, her voice barely audible. Are you coming? I nod, though sleep feels like a distant dream. As she disappears up the stairs, I set my phone down and rub my temples, trying to dispel the pounding headache that's been my constant companion. Something is nagging at me, something I can't quite put my finger on. The events of the past weeks swirl in my mind, Vanessa's betrayal, the party, the costume switch with Claire, and Michael's unexpected intervention. It all feels like a puzzle with missing pieces. Unable to ignore the feeling any longer, I grab my phone and head to the bedroom. Vanessa is already under the covers, her back to me, the rise and fall of her breathing indicating she's still awake. I hesitate at the doorway, then quietly retreat, heading back downstairs. I pour myself a glass of water and lean against the kitchen counter, staring at the clock as it ticks away the minutes. My thoughts drift to Claire, how she was supposed to be Vanessa's accomplice in the costume swap. But why? And why did Michael show up that night, claiming to know everything? The questions gnaw at me until I make a decision. I grab my coat and keys, and before I can second-guess myself, I'm out the door, heading towards Claire's apartment. The drive is short, but it feels like an eternity. When I arrive, I hesitate outside her door, my heart pounding in my chest. Finally, I knock, the sound echoing in the quiet hallway. Claire opens the door, surprise flickering across her face. She's in casual clothes, her hair pulled back, looking far removed from the ghostly figure she'd been on Halloween. "Hey," she says, stepping aside to let me in. "What are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you," I say, my voice firmer than I feel. "About what happened at the party." Her expression darkens, and she closes the door behind me. "I figured you might." We sit down on her couch, the tension thick in the air. I don't waste time with pleasantries. "Why did you switch costumes with Vanessa?" I ask directly, watching her closely. Claire bites her lip, her eyes darting away from mine. "It was Vanessa's idea," she admits. "She wanted to. I don't know, add some excitement to the night." "Excitement?" I repeat, incredulous. "By cheating on me?" Claire winces, and I can see the guilt in her eyes. "It wasn't supposed to be like that. It was just supposed to be a game, a stupid, harmless game." "But it wasn't harmless," I say, my voice rising. "I saw what happened. I know what she did." Claire shakes her head, her expression pained. "You don't understand. Vanessa didn't." Before she can finish, the door bursts open, and Michael storms in, his face flushed with anger. "What the hell are you doing here?" he demands, his eyes locked on me. I stand up, the sudden confrontation catching me off guard. "I'm trying to get some answers." Michael steps closer, his fists clenched. "You have no right to be here, harassing Claire." "Harassing?" I retort, my own anger flaring. "I just want to know the truth." "The truth?" Michael scoffs, his eyes narrowing. "You think you deserve the truth after everything? What the hell are you talking about?" I snap, my patience wearing thin. Michael glances at Claire, who nods almost imperceptibly. He takes a deep breath, then looks back at me, his expression hard. "You want the truth? Fine. Here it is, Vanessa wasn't cheating on you at the party. She was trying to cover for Claire." My mind spins, trying to process his words. "Cover for Claire? What are you talking about?" Claire steps forward, her eyes filled with shame. "It was me, okay? I was the one who cheated. I was the one who got involved with that guy at the party." I stare at her, the revelation hitting me like a punch to the gut. "But, the costume switch, why?" "Because Vanessa knew," Claire says, her voice barely above a whisper. "She knew what I was doing, and she tried to take the blame. She thought if you saw her with the guy, you'd be angry, but you'd forgive her eventually. She didn't want you to find out it was me because she knew you'd never forgive me." The room feels like it's spinning, the pieces of the puzzle falling into place in the most unexpected way. Vanessa had been trying to protect me, from the truth, from the reality of Claire's betrayal. She'd made herself the villain to save her friend, and in doing so, she'd destroyed what little trust we had left. I slump back onto the couch, the weight of the revelation crushing me. So all this time, I've been hating her for something she didn't even do. Michael nods, his expression softening slightly. "Vanessa made a mistake, but it wasn't what you thought. She was trying to protect you in the only way she knew how. Claire steps closer, her eyes pleading. I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. I never meant to hurt you. I look at her, at the tears streaming down her face, and all I feel is numbness. The betrayal, the lies, the deception, it's all too much. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Claire says, her voice trembling. Just know that Vanessa loves you. She always has. I stand up, the need to escape overwhelming. I need to go. Michael moves to block my way, his expression unreadable. You should talk to Vanessa. I shake my head, the room closing in around me. I can't. Not now. I push past him, heading for the door, but his voice stops me. You're making a mistake. I turn back, my eyes meeting his. Maybe. But I can't deal with this right now. With that, I leave, the door slamming shut behind me. The cold night air hits me like a wave, but it does nothing to clear the fog in my mind. I drive aimlessly, my thoughts a chaotic mess of emotions. When I finally return home, the house is dark and silent. Vanessa is asleep in bed, her breathing soft and steady. I stand in the doorway, watching her, my heart heavy with the weight of everything that's happened. I know what I have to do, but it doesn't make it any easier. The next morning, I wake up before Vanessa, my decision made. I pack a bag, moving quietly through the house, careful not to wake her. I leave a note on the kitchen table, the words simple and to the point. I need time. Don't try to contact me. I'll reach out when I'm ready. As I leave the house, the sun just beginning to rise, I feel a sense of finality settle over me. The love we once shared, the trust we built, it's all shattered beyond repair. And as I drive away, I know that this is the end. Vanessa and I will never be able to rebuild what was broken. The lies, the deception, the betrayals, they've poisoned everything we once had. There's no going back. Only forward, into the unknown. And I have to face that alone.